I got rhythm, I've got music, I got my man who could ask for anything more. I got daisies in green pastures, I got my man who could ask for anything more. Open trouble, I don't mind him, you won't find him round my door. I got starlight, I got sweet dreams, I got my man who could ask for anything more. I got rhythm, I got music, I got my man who could ask for anything more. I got daisies in green pastures, I got my man who could ask for anything more. Open trouble, I don't mind him, you won't find him at my door. I got starlight, I got those sweet dreams, I got my man who could ask for anything more, who can ask for anything more.
Thank you. This is the Rodney Whitaker Sextet. Thank you very much. Welcome to the first weekend of the 2023 Tuba Bach Music Festival. We are happy to have you here, whether you're here at Emmanuel Lutheran Church or watching online on YouTube or Facebook, or YouTuba and Facebook, as I like to call them, and or listening on Sunny 97.3. However you may be here today, thank you very much for joining, and excited to share this first weekend of this year's festival. Before I talk anymore, I'm going to play something that's going to set the tone following what they just played, and you'll understand how the rest of the concert goes after that. But this is a piece by a British composer named Paul Harvey, and it's a piece he wrote. It's called After Gershwin. That was I Got Rhythm by George Gershwin. This is After Gershwin. Thank you very much. So, it was a couple of years ago that Alvin Waddles and I played a concert together on one of these festivals. It was a program of all Gershwin music, and at the time I was looking for some concertized kind of Gershwin things, came across those, and gave me an idea for what this concert is today. So it was this idea of having classical music, concert pieces inspired by jazz tunes. So that's what you're in for today. We've got 6 world premieres, 6 brand new pieces commissioned for this concert, and you get to hear the original jazz setting of it, and then what the composers came up with based on those. But before we do all that, just some housekeeping stuff, and to make sure, because this is the opening of the festival. So, thank you for coming. Want to make sure that we thank, number one, Emmanuel Lutheran Church for this wonderful space where we get to play our concerts. So many, many thanks to Emmanuel. It's a great place to come to concerts. It happens to be a pretty good place to come to church, too, if you're interested, 9:30 on Sunday mornings. The Michigan Arts and Culture Council and the National Endowment for the Arts take pretty good care of us, so we thank them. Ferris State University and the Michigan State University College of Music, we appreciate their support. The Marlis Myron and Tanya Nelson Education Fund, one of our platinum sponsors. And I just want to tell you a very little bit about that. You can read about it in the program or on the website, but both of these wonderful ladies came education from 2 different directions. Marlis was a teacher. Tanya was a special ed student here in Big Rapids. And so we have this memorial fund set up in memory of both of them, but that fund helps us do not only these concerts, but after a COVID break of a few years, we're able to be back out again, starting this year, back out doing educational programs at schools and at particularly with special ed communities, and also in nursing homes and shut-ins, places where folks might not necessarily be able to come here. So we thank that fund, and if you're interested in contributing to that, we would love to have you do it. And then the John Stites Jazz Awards, specifically for this concert. We told them about it and what we were doing. The John Stites Foundation is down in Kalamazoo. John was a jazz record producer, and when he passed, he wanted to make sure that jazz continued, and innovative ways of getting it out and about in the community, and it happens that they thought that this was a pretty cool idea to do these side-by-side pieces with concert pieces based on jazz. So we thank the John Stites organization for supporting this as well. So, there are a couple of changes in the program, just so that you can look. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let Rodney introduce his group, but we're just so pleased to have Rodney Whitaker, and you can read these bios, and please do. They don't do justice. I just want you to know what an honor and a privilege it is for me to be able to play with, basically we're here in the presence of jazz royalty, and it just absolutely fantastic people, and the young people might not have done as much as Rodney, but that's only because they're young people, and every one of them is going to be doing the same amazing things, and you are getting to hear him live here in Big Rapids, but they're, you can catch them in Lincoln Center and all over the world anytime too. So super happy to have the Sextet here, but I'm going to let Rodney let you know who everybody is and how that works.
Thank you, Ed. How about a round of applause for Rufus Ferguson on piano, Jerron Perry on trumpet, Stephen Grady Jr. on tenor sax, Nanami Horuta on trombone from Japan, our vocalist Raquel Whitaker, and again, my name is Rodney Whitaker. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So we are off and running the first pair of tunes. We're going to have the band play Perdido by Juan Tizol, was a trombonist in the Duke Ellington Orchestra, and then when they're done with that, the first concert piece that goes with that was written by Noah Millette, that's been over here, or will be playing piano through the whole concert too. But I'll have Noah come up and talk, introduce his piece, and then he and I will play that, and we're off and running. So here is Perdido. 1, 2, 3, 4.
perdido. I lost it way down in Torito. Watching sing a dance fiesta bolero. He glanced as I danced a bolero. He said, taking off his sombrero, let's meet for a sweet fiesta. High was the sun when we first came close. Low was the moon when we said adios. Perdido, since then has my heart been perdido. I know I must go to Torito, then yearning to lose perdido. is perdido. I know I must go to Torito to find what I lost, perdido.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to thank my dad for providing this wonderful opportunity to get to perform and having this really inspiring, interesting idea of the side-by-side. And I'd also like to reiterate what a phenomenal honor it is to share the stage with these amazing musicians. So, my piece is based on Perdido, which you just heard, which is Spanish for lost. The first line is, I lost my heart way down in Torito. I don't know where Torito is. I did a bit of research. I'm pretty sure it's not actually a place. No, it's not in Ohio. No. My piece is called Encontrado, which is Spanish for found. I have a theory that the speaker lost their heart in Torito, but they found their heart in Weimar, Germany in about 1850. The main motive, la dee dee, da 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 dee 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 dee, those little three notes, la da dum. It really reminds me, the simplicity of the motive really reminds me of Beethoven, Liszt, Wagner, that sort of 19th century German romanticism. So that is sort of the mindset that I was going into starting off the piece. And so from that point, then everything just flowed and went in some weird directions. So, thank you again, and enjoy Encontrado.
Thank you, Noah. So the next pair are by Fats Waller and Dominic Waddles. So we're going to hear the Jitterbug Waltz first with the trio setting with Rufus and Rodney and Sarah, and then we'll have Dominic come up from there. Yeah. So you come up as soon as that's done, explain what you did, and then we're going to play. Noah and I will play Dominic's Grand Dance.
Hello, hello, hello. I am Dominic Waddles. So, a lot of my inspiration for this, when I was a little kid, I would actually go to see my father play in a gazebo in Southfield. And Charlie Gabriel was the clarinet player after he moved away, and I learned his name after 12 years. I was like, a falling melody. So let me write a melody that rises. Also, at the same time, there's a cadence point in each tune in about the fifth bar. And I wanted to do something to really, really encapsulate that. So you're going to hear that in the piece as well. And then the other thing I want to talk about is you're going to hear some very Brahmsy type chords and some Debussy type trills and all that jazz. So here is a grand dance.
Again, Mr. Dominic Waddles. So, third piece. We're going to flip the order a little bit. So instead of jazz ensemble and then Noah and I, we're going to flip it around and start with, and he'll explain exactly why, so I'm not going to even talk about it anymore, but please welcome Dr. Ricardo Lorenz.
Hello, everyone. First of all, let me thank very sincerely the Tuba Bach Festival at Big Rabbits and Ed Millet for conceptualizing this amazing experience we're all having here. I feel grateful to be part of it and to share it with Rodney Whitaker's Sextet. Rodney Whitaker has been my colleague at Michigan State for 17 years. I've learned so much from this incredible individual. On the other hand, I'm also grateful to about to hear Noah Mallet, who studied with me composition for 2 years at Michigan State. And believe me, every time he came to my studio, I didn't know who was the teacher and who was the student. And I always tell this to Noah, and he cringes and he doesn't believe me, but I mean it sincerely. It's so much talent there. So I'm grateful for this dialogue that we are hearing here today. It's rarely an opportunity to experience it. When I was asked to come up with a standard that I could respond to, I immediately thought of the famous Brazilian composer Antonio Carlos Jobim, simply because if you talk about bridging and dialogue and transcending boundaries, he's a perfect example of this. Antonio Carlos Jobim is one of the most famous composers in Brazil, who was very much influenced by jazz, among other spheres. And in turn, he was able to influence jazz back to the point that his music is now part of the jazz canon. And you're going to hear his beautiful piece that I responded to, titled Agua de Beber, which means water to drink. When I sat down to remember a tune and work with it, I immediately realized that the chorus would go something like this. Agua de beber, camarada, agua de beber, camarada, agua de beber, camarada. If you start, stretching it a bit, it started to sound to me, because of how pentatonic it is and so on, to sort of some type of indigenous music from Brazil, and it would sound something like this. So I recorded that and sent it to Ed and asked him, do you think the euphonium can play that high? And he said, oh, absolutely, sure. So then I took off and I wrote this piece. But this is what I did. I didn't necessarily want it for the listener to actually recognize the original tune, although you will. But I thought, what about if I speculate on the influences from which Antonio Carlos Jobim drew from? First of all, indigenous Brazilian music. Second of all, nature. Anybody who's from Brazil realizes that Brazil has one of the most rich natural resources, including a lot of water. After all, the song is called Agua de Beber, water to drink. Also jazz, of course, as I mentioned before, but also European French music. And last but certainly not least, Afro-Brazilian music and Afro-Brazilian percussion. So what you're going to hear is all these influences coming together, synthesized in the response I composed. A very important part of the song is the lyrics, which are written by the famous poet Vinicio de Moraes. They're not written by Carlos Jobim. And so even though the title is Agua de Beber, water to drink, it's not so much about water as it is about love. And the basic gist of the song is that love is as important to life as water is. I hope you enjoy my response, which I call Invocation to Water, Invocación al Agua.
Your love is rain, my heart the flower. I need your love or I will die. My very life is in your power. Will I wither and fade or blossom to the sky? Agoje bebe, camora. Agoji bebe, agoji bebe, agoji bebe, agoji bebe, camora. Will I wither and fade or blossom to the sky? The rain can fall on distant deserts. The rain can fall upon the sea. Rain can fall upon the flower. If the rain is to fall, let it fall on me. Agoje bebe, agoji bebe, camera. Agoji bebe, agoji bebe, agoji bebe, agoji bebe, camera. If the rain falls, let it fall on me. Ba-ba-do-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-ba-do-da, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-ba-do-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-ba-do-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-do-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, ba-da.
So, the next pair of tunes, we get to pair Wayne Shorter's Speak No Evil with Eileen Snyder's Eavesdropping. So, gonna jump right back with those folks and then have Eileen come up in between to explain how that's gonna go. So, here is Speak No Evil. So this is Eileen Snyder.
Hey y'all, how about that? Oh my goodness. Woo! So, yes, that is one of my favorite Wayne Shorter tunes of all time, and it was really, really wonderful to hear such a great septet perform it. I want to thank everyone involved for making this happen. It's really an honor to be a part of this, especially when Ed Millett approached me about this project. I got very excited because jazz informs a lot of my own composition, even if it isn't jazz outright. So there's always been kind of a connection for me between jazz and all types of music. So this is really, really an exciting concert. So when I was writing this piece, Eavesdropping, I had kind of two things in mind. The first was the title, so Speak No Evil, kind of hearkening back to the common saying, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. And my first thought was, oh, there's evil being spoken. There's going to be evil happening here. Not necessarily terrible evils, but gossip, rumors. And so the baritone and the piano are kind of having this conversation, maybe a little bit nasty. And you're hearing it, even though you probably shouldn't be hearing it. And even though you shouldn't be listening to it, you are sticking around to listen to it. So that was kind of my big inspiration. And then also in the tune itself, there's a lot of these long tones. This is one note that kind of gets held while the piano gets to noodle around, as well as some cool syncopated rhythms. And so I was kind of playing with that aspect as well. But you might get a little bit of metal and Tigran Hamasyan in there too. Sorry, it happens. Please enjoy.
I want to say just a little side note, because I said it last night, that this is really true. So one of the big differences between when you hear these pairs, they have, I'm going to hold up here. To get through a whole song, this is what they're all looking at. And everything that they play, it's all made up on the spot, all improvised. It's just completely amazing stuff. They have a melody and some chords and all that. Whereas these 6 new tunes that we're playing, every single note is written out. And so that's exciting. And different composers have different ways of doing things in terms of how much information we get and all of that. Sometimes it's, just as overall speaking, sometimes you might get your notes and your rhythm, but everything else, interpretation, is up to you. And other composers are very, very specific about, no, on this note do this, and on this note this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And it goes to extremes. One of the funnest things about playing Eileen's piece here, so she mentioned there's a conversation going on, and lots of music, a conversation between the piano and the horn. We get the words to the conversation. You don't necessarily, but Noah and I have the words to this little conversation written in, and it helps us know what it is that we're talking about, sort of like the eavesdropping. You're kind of listening, you don't get to know exactly what the words are, but you hear it. So anyway, I just want to say that was so much fun. I've never seen that in music before. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. So, eavesdropping. Eileen Snyder. So, next pair of pieces. Duke Ellington, Heaven, and that tune inspired the wonderful, amazing Mr. Alvin Waddles to write his piece. So we're going to get Heaven from here, and then Alvin's going to come up and tell you why he wrote what he did.
Heaven, my dream, heavenly, heavenly, heaven to me is just the degree to
I just want to say real quick, well, Alvin is coming up because this is very appropriate. And thank you, Raquel, because that was beautiful. And I say to Rodney and I say to Alvin, it's pretty cool to be a dad, isn't it? Got Raquel and Sarah back here and Dominic back there and Noah over here. And it's just pretty cool. Alvin Waddles.
Alice Babb would be impressed. Well, you know, I'm usually not on the first concert of the season. Someone must have lost a bet. But this year I'm actually on the first, and I'm on the last too, right? So if you don't like this, come back and we'll try to do better. Actually, the piece that I wrote was inspired by two pieces. It was Heaven, which you just heard, by Duke Ellington, which first appeared on his second sacred music concert in 1968. And it was also inspired by Irving Berlin tune, Cheek to Cheek. Probably think they don't have much to do with one another, and perhaps they don't, but we mashed them together anyway in this project. They both start with heaven. Heaven, I'm in heaven, and it comes on, I can hardly speak. So I thought about that, and you'll find that most of, I just wrote a kind of a lilting waltz I tried to accomplish with it. It's short, so don't worry. But most of its part, the melody is kind of drawn from that da 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 da, that falling second. So you'll hear that kind of matched in with the that minor second that starts off the heaven that you just heard. I guess kind of the point was, or the inspiration was the idea that Duke Ellington was speaking of heaven and how lovely heaven was, as he believed, and Irving Berlin of how heavenly love is supposed to be. Of course, in the middle of Cheek to Cheek, just this one little thing, there's kind of a turbulent section in this toward the middle of the piece, because there's this really short bridge in Cheek to Cheek where it turns minor just for a second. Dance with me, I want my arms around you. It gets kind of rough. And as you know, either whether you're pursuing heaven or a decent relationship, there's just some bad patches in it. But then it gets pretty again, I hope. Well, you'll see what you think.
Thank you very much. Before we do the last pair, because there isn't a break between the two parts of it, this is my last chance to talk to you. So, here we go. Thank you all once again for coming today. Great to have you here, again, whether you're here sitting in the seats or watching from your couch at home or listening in your car on the radio. However that may be, thank you so much for joining us. And know that there's still 5 more weeks to go. Super excited about all of the comings and goings of folks over the next 5 weeks. Next week, another edition coming up from East Lansing. Corbin Wagner is the professor of horn at Michigan State, and Pat Johnson teaches theory down there, and the two of them will be here, so it's a kind of a chamber music setting, horn, tuba, piano. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll do some visual stuff, slideshows and things like that. So that's next weekend. The weekend of September 23rd and 24th. Liam Teague will be here. Liam is from Trinidad Tobago, is one of the world's most amazing steel pan players, steel drums. So he will be here and his son is coming, who is, he's 15, I think, and is also a pretty amazing steel drum player. And then Fareed Haq, who has been here before with us. Fareed is just an undescribable guitar player, can do everything and anything, and so he will be back to join in, and his son is coming too. Elihu just graduated from college, and he is a tuba player. So he's actually in college for something that's going to make money, and that's really cool, but he also plays the tuba, so he's going to come. And speaking of that, then the next week, September 30th and October 1st, the tuba quartet that has been such a staple of the festival for all these years. We ended up having to take a break for three years because of COVID and travel restrictions and all that. But Phil will be back, and Chuck will be here from New York, and Gail is back up from Arkansas. So super excited about that one. Looking forward to it. The 5th week, Noah will be back up here along with Alerna Kordieva, a young violinist from Uzbekistan. And so that program is going to feature some classical music, Brahms trio and things like that, but also some traditional Uzbek music, and another world premiere of a piece written by Noah. And Alerna also, among all these other things that she does, happens to be a pretty happening jazz singer too. So we're going to throw in a couple of those tunes. And then the final week, as Alvin mentioned, he's going to be back along with the amazing Ladies of Testimony Sings. And so it's going to be a gospel finish to this year's festival. So please come and enjoy. Hope you can be here for some or all of those. I want to again thank all of our sponsors, all of our advertisers, all of you, all of our donors. We couldn't do this without you, and to be able to, so year number 18, free concerts, absolutely incredible musicians that come here to Big Rapids, and it happens because of the generosity of folks like you and the businesses that are in here. So thank you very much. If you would like to be part of it, or you know somebody that would like to be part, let us know. The businesses that are in here, if you frequent them, please let them know how much you appreciate their support. If you haven't visited them, it's about time you did, and thank them for supporting. I want to particularly draw attention again to our platinum sponsors, the Marlis Myron and Tanya Nelson Educational Fund, the College of Music down at Michigan State University here in town, Ferris State University, the Michigan Arts and Culture Council, the National Endowment for the Arts, and a special thanks for this weekend to the John Stites Foundation in Kalamazoo. Some individuals to thank here that helped get you in the door: Adriana and Jane, always smiling faces, and we appreciate that, and they help get you seated. Jeff Gabalis is over here at Command Central, making sure that all the sound works for you that are here, and something happens for the live stream, and it's nice for me not to have to worry about that, so thanks to Jeff. And Paul is wherever Paul is, running cameras in the back, and Jeff Peddlety. So you guys, thank you very much for your tech stuff. Mom's Cookies are in Fellowship Hall afterwards. This is one of those things, if you're watching the live stream or listening on the radio, you're missing out. You need to come here to the live thing, because Mom's Cookies are after every concert. So that's all of that. As you leave, if you are so inclined, a couple of my old tubas are out by the door. They take donations, and we appreciate that very nicely. There's some Tuba Bach CDs on a table out there if you're interested in buying and hearing what we've done in past years and things of that sort. That'd be great. There's also some fill out the form, get on our mailing list. We would love to add you to that. So do that. And I think that gets me down to my main thanks for today, and that is all these wonderful musicians that help make today possible. So let me see if I can remember all this. Our composers, let's start, because I'm looking out here. The amazing Alvin Waddles. Thank you, Alvin. And next to him, the young Dominic Waddles. Yay! Many, many thanks to Dr. Ricardo Lorenz for your piece. And Eileen Snyder over here. And then we can bridge the gap from composers to performers because he's doing it all tonight. Noah Millette over here, piano and composer. And then we get over to this side. So you guys are amazing. You're incredible. Thank you so much for coming and being part of all this. I'm Jerron Perry on the trumpet. Stephen Grady Jr. has been your saxophone man for the night. All the way from Japan, Nanami Haruda. Over here on the piano, Mr. Rufus Ferguson. On the drum set, Sarah Whitaker. And singing for you all night, Raquel Whitaker Fortin. And the leader of the band, the amazing Professor Rodney Whitaker on the bass. So, going to finish off this last pair. I didn't want to be left out. I wanted to write a piece. So, Charlie Parker, I thought, and I learned things every night. I found out something new about this piece last night. So Donna Lee, one of the first bebop tunes that I remember from a long, long, long time ago, and it kind of stuck in my head, and I thought all things about it. I found out last night Charlie Parker didn't actually write it. Miles Davis wrote it for Charlie Parker as a kind of an etude exercise sort of a thing. So we all learn new things all the time. So Donna Lee was in my mind, and my early remembrances of how bebop worked was there was just a million notes running, you know, 1,000 miles an hour, and kind of a non-stop sewing machine kind of a thing. That's in my mind. Also, Donna Lee, and then Denali. Donna Lee is the new name, but it's not the new name, it's the old name that finally came back, Mount McKinley up in Alaska. Finally, just a few years ago, we are now calling it by the name that it was called for hundreds and hundreds of years, that being Denali. And so my piece also, probably more than that, more than the Charlie Parker end of things, is influenced by what's up in Alaska and the native Inuit cultures and things like that. There's a particular kind of music unique to that area and that culture of a kind of a guttural, they call it throat singing, but it's some grunts and some groans and some things like that. It actually started out as it's more of an entertainment kind of a thing, a way to pass the time. Usually the women would do this, and 2 or 3 women that would get together and sing and entertain each other. And one of the practices that I was working from, they would, it's a very interlocked kind of a thing, and the 2 women would be trading back and forth very, very quickly. Whatever one does, the other one would immediately do, and sometimes then they could switch over for who was the leader and who wasn't. And it's a big game, and it's a lot of fun, and it's also really, really strange. I would encourage you, if you have a chance, look up traditional Inuit music, and it's pretty cool. It's really neat. So that's what this is. So there's some trading back and forth, and it does some odd things. 100 or so years ago, missionaries made their way up there and said, "Ooh, don't do that. That sounds like the devil. You're not allowed to do that anymore." And that whole tradition disappeared. And finally, now there's some young women that are bringing it back just very recently. And so that's why I say some of these videos, check them out. But it's a new thing. It's a really interesting thing. And so, as I say, there's no break. We go from Denali right straight into Donna Lee. And so I just want to thank you all once again for coming and being here and being a part of this, and we look forward to seeing you in weeks to come. So here comes the Donna Lee pair. Thank you to the Rodney Whitaker Sextet. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you to Noah. All the composers. Have a great day. Mom's Cookies.